Belief in witchcraft is universal. It has both negative and positive responses. In a neutral sense, witchcraft is sorcery, the magical manipulation of forces by casting spells and conjuring or invoking spirits. It has been used by humankind since prehistoric times in an effort to control the environment and enhance daily life. Throughout history, witches have been feared because they were believed to be evil, in consort with the devil, and able to fly through the night on a broomstick and shape-shift into magical creatures. The same women who were sought after, healers, midwives, the wise women and crones, for help were the ones who were also feared for their knowledge. In truth, witches are in tune with nature and with themselves. They are men and women who are dark and light, day and night, healer and justice all in one. To be a witch is to be a keeper of balance, the Essential Witch. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Essential Witch. I am your host, Raven Wings, and tonight I am not alone. Yay! I don't have to do my show alone tonight. I'm so happy. Tonight I have with me Lady Spice, and we are going to be doing some witching in the kitchen. Lady Spice brought some wonderful recipes for all of you guys, and I'm going to be telling you kitchen cures for common emergencies. So we'll be going a little bit back and forth and stuff between the two of us. You'll get a recipe, and then you'll get some interesting little things to note about cures and stuff for things in the kitchen. So say hi.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I love this. Are you kidding me? This is going to be so much fun. So I love it when you're on Onyx's show. So I was like, yeah, I still got to steal her. I'm going to steal her for a night.
I seem to be rather popular, so I decided to pop in here. I've got a number of edible recipes for you. As I think some of you may know, I'm actually a chef, retired now, but I'm in the midst of writing a cookbook, and it's from a witch's point of view, and it's all about healthy food and simple recipes and very basic things that everybody should have in their kitchen cupboards.
Exactly. And there is certain things that you should just have on hand. So I'm going to let you start it off with one of your recipes.
Well, this is what I call my See Clearly potion, and this one's going to have to come with a disclaimer, folks, because it affects everybody differently. What it does is it takes away the stuff that tends to cloud our vision so that we can actually see the situation around us for what it really is instead of smoke and mirrors.
Which is good, especially now.
I did a large batch of it. There was 3 or 4 of us one evening, and one of them was my student, and he was having trouble. And I figured, okay, well, you know what? I'll send you off to the store. Do you like hot chocolate? And I don't know anybody that doesn't love hot cocoa.
Right.
I made a batch of this stuff while he was gone. It took me about 15, 20 minutes. By the time he came back, I was ladling it into the mugs. Well, all of a sudden, the smoke and mirrors disappeared, and he managed to pull his head out of his backside and made a number of breakthroughs. My partner, the Reverend, drank a cup of this brew, and he experienced something different, but he was able to see himself a little more clearly. Being the experimenter that I am, I decided to, down the 3rd cup, and I had a different experience again. I saw things a little more clearly, but it was my psychic skills that were coming in sharper and clearer.
So basically, this is going to pull what you need out.
That's exactly what this does. Mm-hmm. And this is going to sound like a very fattening recipe, and just so you know, healthy fats are actually good for you folks, so please.
Yes, and you can indulge every now and then. Everything in moderation. You know what I mean? I don't stop eating things, that I love, like lasagna. I'm Italian. Hello. I'm not going to stop eating lasagna just because, it's not healthy for you. You just eat it in moderation. That's all.
It is healthy for you, but it's what you put in it that isn't.
Yeah, exactly. So, and believe me, what I put in it is not healthy, but it tastes so good. So.
Oh, I know. You're preaching at the choir, my sister. I spent years in an Italian eatery. With this hot cocoa, I start with whole milk or light cream. I myself prefer the 18% coffee cream, but hey, that's me.
Or half and half, or yeah.
Yeah, you want this to be rich. You want this to be creamy. You need that stick to ya.
Yep.
Kind of body. And start out with a single serving. You can do this in as big a batch as you want. because this actually goes down really well cold.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate milk works great. But with something like this, make sure you label it, skull and crossbones, do not drink.
Yeah.
And it's one serving, 1 cup, and that's all you need. It's a one and done. You can do this as often as you need to, but for each individual cup, and there is kind of one key ingredient that I do like using, and that's vanilla beans.
Yes, not that imitation crap.
No, if you can't get your hand on vanilla bean, get yourself real vanilla extract, and it's not going to be this watery stuff. If you tilt the bottle, it's going to coat it a little. Mm-hmm. That's what you're looking for, and it should be so dark you can't see through it. It should be the color of molasses.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I love the actual true vanilla beans. Mm-hmm. And if you can find them, the bourbon candied vanilla beans.
Ooh, those sound good.
Oh, they are. Take a cup of your milk or your cream, put it in a small saucepan over medium-low heat. You don't want to scorch it. You just want to warm it gently. If you're using a gas stove, maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch of flame. Mm-hmm. Okay? Some people have gas, some have electric. I have electric.
Yeah, I've got electric. I miss my gas.
Oh, I miss the gas and the propane stove.
Mm-hmm.
Just absolutely perfect heat. Those in cast iron, best way to go.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Speaking of cast iron, you can do this in a non-stick pot, but I usually use nothing but cast iron. Mm-hmm. I find it works better. And this is also something you can make over the campfire.
Oh.
But again, per serving, 1 cup of milk, 3 tablespoons of sugar. I use raw cane. Mm-hmm. I've had a couple people swap it out for stevia, but they've cut down the sweetener just a bit.
Yeah, because you have to. Have you ever noticed that? The artificial sweeteners are sweeter than regular sugar.
The true stevia is not artificial.
Oh, okay.
It's just, it's nectar like agave. It's very sweet, very syrupy.
Okay.
Like maple.
Yep.
And a 3.5 tablespoons of pure dark cocoa. Mm-hmm. Now, if you really want to get decadent, you can take 3 ounces of semi-sweet dark chocolate and grate it into the milk instead of the sugar and the cocoa.
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm, hankering for a hot cocoa now.
Oh, just wait. It gets better.
Oh.
Because what you're going to do is you're going to take those first 3 ingredients, you're going to combine them in a saucepan. Make sure it's, you've got some stir room because, trust me, it's like a cauldron. You need, 3 to 4 inches in case it starts to bubble up.
Yes.
Because milk is notorious for scalding, and so is sugar, so this is why the slightly lower heat. Mm-hmm. As you start blending it together and the sugar starts to dissolve, stir counterclockwise, and always, always with this, use a wooden spoon. I can't stress this enough. Your best kitchen wand is a wooden spoon.
I totally agree there. I have like 5, 6, something like that.
I have maple, I have ash, I have oak, I have cedar, because each plant and each wood has its own energy and its own use. But for this one, just plain old-fashioned white pine is what I usually use because I go through them so much. They stain, they break. You want to go with something natural, so don't use plastic, don't use, if you can avoid it, don't use metal.
Yeah. I wouldn't use metal to stir milk anyway.
No, it tends to curdle the milk if you're not careful.
Yeah, icky.
Very much so. And do this until your cocoa is dissolved and your cocoa is incorporated and your sugar is dissolved. And as you're counterclockwise stirring this, and you always start from the middle and in a spiral, work to the outside. Once you've gotten to the outside edge, starting from front to back or top to bottom, from one side of the pot to the other, forward and back to and from you, there's a chant that goes with this. Remove from me what needs removing. Show to me what needs to be seen. And now you're going to keep repeating this. This is your mantra. Because this is what's going to actually infuse the spell into what you're doing. It takes about 5 minutes. You're going to do this until the milk starts to just very gently steam. You're going to start the same way, only going clockwise. This is, again, show to me what needs to be seen. Take from me what needs to go. And you'll do this until it starts to just simmer. You'll get a slight foam on the top. And if you do it right, you'll actually end up with a swirl in the foam that's evenly spaced.
Ooh.
You know how you see it in the witch cartoons?
Mm-hmm.
Happens just like that. Blew my mind the first couple times I pulled that one off. And it only happens with stuff that you're doing magic to, and I figured out that was the key thing. Once you've got that swirl in the top, and you've got to go through this process at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
3 going counterclockwise, 3 going clockwise.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've got it starting to simmer and bubble,
mm-hmm.
take it off the heat, and make sure you've got a big, really big, warm, thick mug. Ladle a cup of that out. There's your potion. Enjoy.
Nice and easy too. It's not like, okay, I have to go, find a red candle and no, and just cast a circle and
ingredient. I just about forgot. Right before you start stirring counterclockwise,
mm-hmm.
like once you've got your milk and the sugar and all of that stirred together,
mm-hmm.
take the contents of a vanilla bean, split your vanilla bean open, take the back of a spoon, scrape the guts out.
Yep.
And just plop it in there. If not, you can add 1/2 to 3/4 of a teaspoon per cup.
If you're using real vanilla, don't use that imitation crap.
Vanilla extract.
Yes.
Please never imitation. No.
Nasty
it's
stuff.
So synthetic and chemical, you don't want to know what that produces during heating.
Yeah. So I'm hoping everybody out there has pen and paper and they're writing all this stuff down.
If not, tell you what, I'll email you the recipes, and if people ask, you can pass them out.
That works. I might have you just post them up on the page. Just throw them up there, But that is cool. That is cool. I'm going to have to try that. I'm definitely going to have to try that.
Please. And I mean, it is wonderful, especially if it's one of those, you're faced with a situation, you don't know what you're going to do, and you're not quite sure if you're seeing what you think you're seeing.
Mm-hmm. And that seems to be all day today.
Well, I guess I know what you're having after this, huh?
Yeah, it kind of looks that way right after my shower. I have...
Who doesn't like hot cocoa?
Exactly. Now, I have a little tip for everybody who gets sunburnt skin, because it is that time of the year where people go out and they spend a little too much time in the sun and get sunburned.
I'm listening. He's one of those burn and peel kind.
Yeah, me too. I feel you. Unless I go tanning in a salon, forget it. It's burned over.
Oh, fake and bake.
Off. Yeah, fake and bake. I have to do it that way. But for burnt skin, for sunburnt skin, grate potatoes, actual potatoes, and apply them to sunburned skin. The starch will actually cool and soothe the burn. And another thing you can use is apple cider vinegar. You can do it plain or diluted to ease a sunburn as well. So if you're, that sunburn, especially when the sun goes down and it gets really hot and it starts to sting, grated potatoes or some cider vinegar will actually cool the sunburn down.
One of my favorite tricks is to dampen down a sarong or another light fabric, like a sheet,
mm-hmm.
and wrap up in that in front of a fan.
Mm-hmm.
And as the fabric warms up, just, peel it off, let it cool off for a second or two, and try and take the heat out of the tan, or out of the burn. But coconut oil or cocoa butter.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to peel horrifically. I don't anymore.
That's good.
I now have mahogany native skin, I guess, that came out as I got older.
There you go. Well, it's like my mother. My mother, she's got the French and she's got the Indian, so she gets dark. And she never peeled. Me and my oldest daughter, we're the ones that burn to a crisp. Younger daughter's got Italian and French, so yeah, she's all set. She turns olive skin. So, yeah. When you're making herbal teas, just so you know, if you guys want to start making your own herbal teas, use about a teaspoon of a dried herb or spice, or 2 teaspoons of fresh to 1 cup of boiling water. And you want to make sure you steep that for 10 minutes. So that's your little key, just a teaspoon of dried or 2 of fresh to any cup, and you'll be all set. So do you have another recipe for us, my dear?
I do, and I know it's probably the wrong time of year for this, but everybody comes across cold and flu season.
Mm-hmm. No, because you get the stupid summertime colds here, too. Because I live in Maine, which is not too far from Canada. And, like, Tuesday it was 80 degrees outside. Yesterday it was 57. I'm like, and I wonder why I'm sick. I went to walk out the door and I had to come back in and get a jacket. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was 80 degrees. Like, what is this? So, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, then you're going to need a pen and paper handy, and this will be perfect for you because it's something called 40 garlic chicken. Now, this is a recipe that was passed down from grandmother to daughter to granddaughter and so on and so forth, going back many generations. We've been in Canada for at least 5 generations now, and this came over with the 6th or 7th.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, some of these recipes I have are old, but you want a good size. Start off with one good sized chicken, 5 to 7 pounds. If you can find the ones that are 10, about the size of a small turkey, even better. Because you'll end up making soup out of the leftovers. Trust me.
Oh yeah, and I love leftovers. Yeah.
Oh, they make the best soups.
Especially
this, because you turn around and take the matzo meal and you make matzo balls. You make chicken noodle soup out of it.
Oh, nice.
Start with the chicken. 3 full heads of bulbs of garlic. Sounds like a lot, but trust me, it's not. You're going to need these. 3 stalks of celery, 3 medium-sized carrots, 1 medium-sized onion. You're going to want about half to a pound of nugget potatoes. Now, keep in mind, this is for about 4 people.
Yep.
If I prefer walking out and going and getting the fresh herbs out of my garden if I can, but I get tarragon, rosemary, basil, thyme. Oh, I have menopausal brain, forgive me.
Oh, yeah, I'm hearing you.
Mentally walking my herb cupboard is, okay, what do I usually pull out?
Yeah. It's like, I know what you mean, trust me, it's horrible.
Take a roasting pan and make sure you've got a reasonable size roasting pan. It's going to fit the birds and all of the accoutrements in with it. Make sure you clean the giblets and stuff out of it. Take off the excess.
Yeah, my daughter cooked a turkey once with the giblets in it.
I
was like, you're supposed to take those out.
Aside, they make excellent soup stock and gravy stock.
Exactly.
But give your chicken a rinse. Make sure it's all cleaned out and ready to go. If you find the neck and the giblets and all of that inside, set them aside. You're going to need those for later. Because you're going to need those for the chicken stock that you're going to have to add to this about halfway through the roasting process. Take the cloves of garlic, the bulbs of garlic, peel them. Leave the cloves as whole as you can, except for about 5 or 6 large ones.
Okay.
Set those aside because you're going to crush them and add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil to that. This is what's going to give your chicken a nice brown, crispy skin.
Nice.
Yeah, what you do is you take all these cloves of garlic and you actually make small slits inside the meat under the skin so that you have a small opening but small pockets inside that are open. And start stuffing. You want to fill your chicken with as much garlic as you can. Make sure all the skins are off. Otherwise, they're not going to break down during the cooking process. You're going to be chewing skin out.
Yeah.
Trust me, I learned that the hard way. Oh, yeah, no, I was chewing garlic skins out for a couple of days because I had sliced it all up and it was... Oh, it was fun, let me tell you.
Oh, my God.
Bottom of the roasting pan, I usually put a small rack so it's not sitting right on the pan. I want it up just slightly, about a half an inch. Usually, most roasters come with them these days, the drip pans. The herbs that I mentioned, and it's about a tablespoon a piece if you're using dry. If you're using fresh, I measure by the handful.
Yeah.
A handful of each. And I usually set a couple of sprigs of rosemary aside because they're a garnish after. Because by the time you're done, you're going to want to put this on the table in front of everybody because it looks so good. Take your chicken, pop it in once you've got the garlic in it, put it on your rack, and take your carrots, your potatoes, set those aside, but just get that chicken in there for now. You're going to rub the crushed garlic and the 2 tablespoons of olive oil that I had you set aside onto the chicken. And then you're going to put the herbs onto the oil.
That way they stick.
It's going to make it stick.
Yep.
It's going to give it an herb crust, and it's going to make it nice and crispy because of the garlic oil.
Yep.
Keep in mind, if you really like garlic, you're going to have to really like garlic for this because it's definitely roasted garlic throughout.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing roasted garlic mashed potatoes, along with this, you don't want to be kissing anybody, but I trust me, a vampire's not going to come near you for a week.
Well, you can kiss anybody as long as they ate it too. They'll never know.
Exactly. But if garlic makes you gassy, I'm sorry, eat at your own peril.
I have herbs for that. I can tell you different herbs to use for that.
Because baking soda doesn't seem to work too well some days. But pop that, make sure it's tightly covered. You're going to add about a cup of water, cup and a half of water to the bottom. You just want to give it enough steam underneath to start cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep your chicken moist. And I bake it in a slow oven, so that's 325. And it takes approximately 25 minutes a pound for bone-in chicken. I usually give it about an hour, hour and a half for a 5-pound chicken.
Mm-hmm.
You know it's done when the actual, about halfway through, peel it off. About half an hour, 45 minutes in, take the lid off, twist the leg. If it's wiggly but not really loose, perfect, you're about halfway. That's when you take your potatoes, your carrots, which you've peeled and chopped into edible-sized pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Same with your onion and your celery. Layer those two in the bottom, your carrots on top of that, and your potatoes on top of that. Put your lid back on it. Put it back in the oven for about another 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Take the lid off. Leave it in there for another 15 to 20, but crank your temperature up to 375, because that's what's actually going to give the skin the crisp, because of the steam in there.
Yep.
You don't actually crisp up your skin until the very last thing, because you don't want your chicken to dry out.
Yeah, otherwise, the chicken gets dry and, no.
Yeah, no, you want to be able to cut into this and you can see the juice running out of it.
Yeah.
That's what you're after. Once it's gotten nice and crispy, and you should be at about the 2.5 hour mark from the time you started.
Mm-hmm.
Pull it out. If you use a meat thermometer, pop it in. If you'd rather use a knife, slide it down next to the bone, or use my favorite trick of give that leg a twist.
Mm-hmm.
If it comes loose, you're cooked. Let it sit for about 5 to 7 minutes, and you can walk the casserole dish right over to table, and away you go.
Yeah, and that sounds amazing.
It is fabulous, and I mean, I love it because I take the leftovers, I make soup the next day.
Yeah, which is great. You got to use the because I do that a lot here. I'll buy a whole chicken and I'll cook it, and then whatever's left over, I've already made the soup base for. And I just take whatever's left over from the chicken, debone it, and throw it in the soup with whatever vegetables I'm going to do. And then I'll freeze it even. If we're not going to eat it anytime soon, I'll freeze it, or I'll put half in the freezer and keep half in the fridge.
And I mean, I always keep chicken stock handy, so I don't think about making it as I'm cooking, because I always have it frozen. But about halfway through the cooking process, when you go to check it the first time, add a little more chicken stock to it, or water. I always use chicken stock for everything. I even swap it out for the butter and the milk in mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm. It's good that way.
So much more flavor.
Oh yeah. That is awesome. Well, you were talking about gas and indigestion. Allspice.
Yes.
Is actually very good for that. And you can also use allspice to treat colds and flu internally and externally to relieve pain.
Good to know. I knew turmeric was good for pain.
Mm-hmm. Yes, turmeric's very good. I have that in my tea because I have fibro, and I use the turmeric for the fibro pain. Aloe vera. This is a plant everyone should have. Everyone should have an aloe vera plant in their kitchen. I'm one to talk because I don't have one right now.
Neither do I.
I'm and I should. I know better. You use the gel inside the plant to soothe any type of burn, and that includes sunburn. You can use it externally for headaches, or you can take a teaspoon or two as a gentle laxative. And because it's an antibacterial, it can also be used as a deodorant and a fungicide as well. You can dilute it to a 50-50 thing with water, 50% thing with water, and use it to treat yeast infections in athlete's foot.
I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh. See, I like emu and coconut oils for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've heard people using yogurt cultures, too. And I'm like,
I do.
Yeah. Yep. Anise. Everybody knows about anise. Black licorice.
Yes.
Yes. You can use that to ease cramps, gas, indigestion. It's used for insomnia, and it also will help stimulate milk flow in breastfeeding mothers.
For those who like a psychic connection, you can also use it in your incenses to open your third eye.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can.
And like I said, I don't remember right off the top of my head the other uses for the tarragon, the rosemary. I know there's psychic uses for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I generally tend to charge and bless pretty much everything that comes into my house, either herb-wise, oils, salts, because I keep 2 or 3 different kinds of salts, and 2 or 3 different kinds of dried peppers or peppercorns.
Yep.
I just automatically bless them before they even go into the cupboard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because a lot of times, I don't know if you do this, but I do this. I mean, I have my magical herbs on my shelf, and then I have my cooking herbs on another shelf, and they always end up mingling. Always. My cooking herbs always end up somewhere in magical area at some point, or I don't have it in the magical area, and I can go to the kitchen to get it, so.
Well, I keep little bits of it in my magical area because I tend to keep those freshest.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my kitchen herbs, and those are my go-to if I don't have them in the magical area, because I usually have, a ton of stuff in my spice cupboard.
Yep.
Well, spice actually is my legal last go figure as a chef.
It was a destiny thing for you. That was just destiny.
Well, this was my married name, actually.
Oh, God.
I liked it so much I kept it.
Yeah, I've been there, done that a couple of times. We won't go there.
Well, everybody around here knows me as Spice, so I kept it.
Yeah, you might as well just keep it at that point.
For about a third of my life, I was Mrs. Spice.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to know me as Spice, so it was just easier. Believe it or not, I didn't get my social insurance card changed over to my married name until after I separated from him.
Baking soda. You had said that wasn't working for you, for the gas, right?
No, not for the gas. For upper digestive gas, yes. Lower, no.
Okay. Well, other uses
Unless
for
I
baking
eat it
soda.
with.
Other uses.
Beans, I toss in a teaspoon.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. With other uses for it, they're a remedy for skin itch and irritations. You can add a half a cup to a lukewarm bath to soothe poison ivy and sunburns and other skin rashes. You can also apply a paste of it to mosquito bites and bee stings, and you can also use it to draw out a splinter. But if you want to try it for the gas, a teaspoon in a glass of water is great.
Oh yeah, no, it's wonderful for me, it works great if it's in the upper digestive tract.
The heartburn, agita type of stuff, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Another good thing?
I have 2 peptic ulcers.
Oh, well, that'll do it. Another good thing to have around if you're like me and for some strange reason like to bleed, because like today I stubbed my toe and made it bleed.
Arrow.
Bananas. To stop bleeding, mash a green banana and apply it to the wound. It will actually stop bleeding. And ripe bananas will arrest diarrhea.
Really good to know.
Mm-hmm. Bread, spaghetti, and stuff like that. There you go. Can't sleep? Eat high carbohydrates foods to relieve tension. So your pastas, your breads, all that stuff. The high carbo foods. Eat those foods right before bed.
The more complex the carbs, the better, if I remember right.
Yep. And it helps with insomnia. It'll help you sleep. Now, dry bread, especially homemade rye, applied to a wound will help draw out an infection. And if you take bread and soak it in milk, it'll actually dry up boils and blisters as well.
Yes, it does. It will also cause cysts to surface.
Mm-hmm.
So does, believe it or not, taking a teaspoon of nutmeg in a great big glass of water.
Oh, yeah. Because of peppers. We were talking about peppers earlier. Cayenne pepper. A pinch or 2 in your food or drink can help stimulate your circulation and perspiration and warm you up. So if you're cold, you're having a cold, make yourself a tea, and you can put a pinch or 2 in your tea. For quick liniment or pain reliever, add a quarter of a teaspoon to a cup of rubbing alcohol or oil and massage that into your achy joints or muscles. And at the first sign of a cold, sprinkle a pinch or 2 into a cup of hot water with a tablespoon of cider vinegar and a tablespoon of honey. That will
unpasteurized.
Yes. Yeah. Raw honey.
Yes.
The good honey. Yeah.
Yes. The real stuff.
The real stuff. Yes. And that will ward off a cold. And I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to send this recipe thing back. Cinnamon.
Okay, I've got a killer cookie recipe.
There we go. See, they're all going to love this. So, cinnamon. You want to sip a cup of cinnamon tea for indigestion and gas. However, do not drink it if you are pregnant. Cinnamon is a no-no. Cinnamon tea is a no-no for you to drink it while you're pregnant. It can actually cause a miscarriage. Always, if you're pregnant, and always if you're going to start using any kind of home remedies, always check with your doctor first anyway, because certain herbs don't mix with even over-the-counter medicines. So play it safe and talk to a doctor first. Okay, you're up.
Okay, I don't know of anybody that can turn down the smell of fresh, homemade, warm, gooey out of the oven cookies.
I can't.
I know when I'm having a bad day, if I smell those, my bad day just suddenly vanishes.
Yep, it's like, where'd that go? Well, never mind. The dark side has cookies. That's why I like the dark side.
Oh, then you're going to love these. It's a real basic vanilla cookie dough, and believe it or not, this is actually a recipe that I cooked up. A number of years ago, when I actually entered it into a Betty Crocker bake-off contest and won third prize in the late 90s. Hey, $500 US right before Christmas was wonderful in Canada, trust me.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it came out to about $750.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, for an 18-year-old kid with a recipe I'd just come up with because I was looking for a recipe that wasn't, a hard cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've come across so many chocolate chip cookies that are crunchy.
Yes.
And they should be moist. They should be chewy. So I started in culinary arts in college playing with the recipe until I got this one. Now, I always mix my cookies with the back of a natural, again, wooden spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Bamboo. Metal doesn't seem to work as well with this. I got a few cookie recipes I can't use metal with. I can't even use them in a mixer. Real sucks. Especially when doing large batches.
Oh, yeah.
The shortbread are bad for that. But with this, you take 1 cup of real butter. And it's got to be real butter. Otherwise, it just doesn't taste the same. These don't work right. Because these are the real rich, feel-good, I've had a bad day kind of cookies.
These are the cookies you want with your hot chocolate.
You got it. If you're having a real bad day, curl up with a fistful of these and a cup of hot cocoa and you are good to go.
There you go.
Take the sugar, cream in a 1/4 cup of white sugar, 3/4 a cup of Demerara brown.
Mm-hmm.
You want that real dark, rich vanilla or molasses type brown sugar. The real rich, coarse stuff. Trust me, it tastes so much better. Cream those together until they're really, really well blended and the butters come fluffy. Beat in 2 eggs, 2 teaspoons of vanilla.
Real stuff, guys.
Of course, don't use anything but. Take 2 cups flour in a separate bowl. Whisk that together with a teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt. Whisk it together and blend that into your wet mixture until it's all really well blended up. And when it comes to measuring the flour, please, folks, don't scoop. Believe it or not, spoon it into the cup, level it off with the back of a kitchen knife. Because if you scoop, you end up with a couple of tablespoons extra flour that you don't need. And trust me, that makes a difference with this recipe.
Yeah, it'll make the cookies harder.
Very much so. You want the right ratio. And make sure you've got your ovens preheated to 375. And these only take 7 to 9 minutes. Don't overbake or you end up with hockey pucks instead of cookies.
Yeah.
But once you've got the basic vanilla dough, you can add anything you want to it. I've used gumdrops. I've used gummy bears. I've used M&Ms. I've used nuts, raisins, Smarties, bits of chopped up cookie, the mini chocolate bars that are left over at Halloween.
That sounds good.
Yeah. You can stir it, and it's, again, about 2.5 cups, and you want medium-sized to small morsels. I've even used mini chips for this.
Mm-hmm.
I did one that was a batch of peanut butter chips, dark chocolate, and toffee bits.
Ooh.
And just combine what you want until you got about 2.5 cups of stuff. And trust me, any more than that, you're not going to have enough cookie dough to actually hold everything together.
Yeah.
Once you've got that all mixed in and everything's kind of evenly distributed, take an ungreased cookie sheet. Take a regular kitchen-sized tablespoon, soup spoon, you pull it out of the cupboard, out of the drawer. You'll want these cookies balls of cookie dough to be about 1.5 inches across. Form them into a small ball. Flatten them just a little bit to encourage them to spread out a bit. Pop them into the oven for 7 to 9 minutes. They look like they're not quite done in the middle. Trust me, they'll firm up. The edges will be just a very golden brown. Pull them out, let them sit and cool for a couple of minutes on the pan, or they will crumble when you go to move them to a cooling rack. They take about 7 to 9 minutes. This should yield anywhere from depending on the size of the cookie you make, about 2.5 dozen to 4. A serving is as many as you can fit between a thumb and forefinger.
I got long fingers, so.
That's okay. I didn't think my short little hands could hold 6 of these bad boys, but apparently I can.
Yeah, I have got long fingers, so I could probably do at least 10. I'm like, yeah, I could do that.
The thing is, you don't even have to use chocolate in the cookies. You can use whatever you like.
Yeah, use peanut butter in the cookies or peanuts, and then you have like a Reese's thing going on.
Oh, well, if that's the case, then I should pop out my recipe for the peanut butter chocolate chip cookies.
Ooh. See, now she said the magic word. Those Reese's are my favorite.
You and I have the same weakness, honey.
I'm horrible with that. I love Reese's peanut butter. But I like, yeah, I've done that too. They're not as good for some reason. I'll get it down pat one day. But I like remember when they made the really, really big ones?
The half-pound cups, we still have them up here.
Yes, those and the itty-bitty ones. I like the really small ones and the really, really...
I'm in love with the Reese bars. They have just the right amount of peanut butter, just the right amount of chocolate.
How about the Easter eggs, when Reese's comes out with the eggs?
We don't get those up here.
You don't get those? Oh my God, you would die.
No, I haven't seen those up here, but we get turtle eggs.
Oh... See, and Cadbury eggs are another big weakness for me.
Yeah, they're not the same since they changed the chocolate.
Yeah, they did. I noticed that too. I was like, they're not the same. But the little ones don't taste that bad.
Where I am, being where I am, there's a store in town that actually imports the proper Cadburys from London.
Ah, lucky you.
You guys, actually, North America does not get the real Cadbury.
Well, we don't get the real a lot of everything, so,
No, and the U.S. is sadly worse off than Canada is. Mm-hmm. Because I went totally non-chemical, non-GMO. I still splurge, and, I will occasionally have ice cream for dinner. But I've lost 200 pounds.
Wow, that's awesome. Oh!
Just by switching to real food. Hey, hold on 1 second. I have a recipe I have to share now.
Okay, well, you look for that, and I'll do a couple of things so that, I'll get a couple of words in here. Cloves. If you have cloves. Everybody should have cloves. You can place a few drops of clove oil on a toothache for immediate relief, and clove tea will actually prevent vomiting and relieve nausea. Coffee.
Clove oil is exceptional.
Yeah, clove oil is awesome. I love clove. My grandmother taught me that. That and wintergreen oil she used to use on my teeth when I was a baby. Coffee. 3 cups of lukewarm or cool coffee can actually head off an asthma attack. The caffeinated tea will also work, but it takes double the dose of the coffee. So if you can drink 3 cups of lukewarm or cold coffee when you feel an asthma attack coming on, it'll actually break up an asthma attack.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I live with an asthmatic, so. One more before we let Lady Spice do another recipe. Dill. You can use that to treat colic, insomnia, and tension, and to help promote the flow of breast milk for breastfeeding mothers.
Good to know. I knew about barley water for the breast milk, but interesting to find out about the other. Okay, seeing as you decided to mention peanut butter and chocolate, my infamous famous peanut butter cookie recipe, it's so totally not mine. I swiped it, but I kind of tweaked it a bit. Start with, again, 1 cup of butter, softened. You want this really soft. 1 cup brown sugar, packed. 1 cup granulated sugar. I tend to use the raw cane sugar rather than the white bleached out GMO sugar beet stuff. The cane sugar gives it a slightly crispier, lighter texture. You don't taste the bleaching.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste as refined. And if you can find raw cane sugar, even better.
Oh, yes.
You're also going to want to use 1 cup of smooth peanut butter. You can use smooth, you can use crunchy, totally up to you, but I always use 100% natural ground peanuts. Like peanuts, no salt, nothing. Kraft makes it, Adams makes it. I'm sure you can probably find it in your local health food store as well.
Yep. And I used to, when I worked for a health food store, my daughter works for one now, but when I worked for one, we did the same thing she does. They actually make the peanut butter right there for you. They take the peanuts, put it in the machine, and make it right there. And you'll know if it's true peanut butter, real peanut butter, because there's always oil on top. Yep. You'll always have oil on top. And don't throw that oil away.
No, you actually need that to thin out the bottom of the jar of peanut butter.
Yep. Because it gets really hard at the bottom.
Oh, but that makes the best fudge
Yes.
once you warm it.
Oh, yes.
Anyways, once you've got that all together, beat it until it's fluffy and creamy. And to that, again, in a separate bowl, because you always mix your dry stuff first to make sure it's evenly distributed.
Mm-hmm.
1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons baking soda, and 3 cups of general all-purpose flour. And again, don't scoop, spoon it in, level it off. Because that makes a big difference if you're measuring out for things like cookies.
Oh, yes.
Because if there's too much flour, especially in your cookies or your pastries, because there's often sugar and fat involved, it makes it tough, it makes it hard.
It's not as fluffy either.
Yeah, you don't want... You want something that you can actually chew on instead of, chip me off a peace paw.
Yeah.
You don't want something you need to take a cold chisel to.
Definitely.
Shape these into small balls. I usually about 1 1/4 inches or so. Enough to fill the, you can cheat and use a small ice cream scoop or a melon roller. I totally cheat and use an ice cream scoop, one of those little ejector thingies.
Oh, yes. Those things are awesome.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you give these suckers room to spread, so you're going to put them about 2 1/2, 3 inches apart on a cookie sheet. Take the back of a fork and dip it in flour to keep it from sticking, and you're going to put a crisscross hatch pattern in the tops of the cookies. Now, if you want to add chocolate to these, you can put 2 cups of chocolate chips in the dough, but I usually wait until they're cooled and dunk the tops in chocolate.
Oh, there you go.
I make, it's almost like a chocolate ganache, but it's not. Instead of using cream, I use butter or coconut oil. So it's still hard like a chocolate, but it's still soft.
Yes.
So you can do that one of 2 ways. You can add chocolate to it before with the 2 cups of chocolate chips, the semi-sweet or dark. I like the dark minis. I just totally love them.
Dark chocolate is the best.
Best for you. It actually has the flavonoids that your body uses and needs. The whiter you get, like milk and white chocolate, the less good stuff is in it. White chocolate, if you can find real white chocolate, is mostly cocoa mass and cocoa butter. And those you should not be eating in that kind of quantity because it will kill you.
Right.
They're not an oil that we can deal with in large quantities.
These sound amazing, though. I used to make peanut butter cookies with a little Hershey Kiss on top.
Well, with these, again, bake them for, 7 to 10 minutes. I usually do it for about 10 to 12 because my oven's kind of testy.
Yeah.
Just lightly colored on the outside. You don't want them to change color on the top because if they change color on the top, you've got a hard cookie.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of those you're going to have to, dunk it until all the bubbles stop coming up and you've drowned the poor thing. You want the soft, chewy stuff. Take them out about a minute or 2 before. Because
they do continue to cook when they're on the pan anyway, out of the oven. They're still cooking when you pull them out. Steaks do the same thing. Steaks continue to cook when you pull them off of the heat. That's why they'll tell you to cover them so you can keep the juices in. But people don't understand that they continue to cook.
Yes, they do, because you got to remember, if you've just pulled it right out of a hot oven, are you going to put your hand on it or try and put your mouth around it right that second? No, because it is smoking hot. It is still baking.
Yep.
That's why with the chocolate chip cookies, you let them firm up on the pan for, 5 to 7 minutes. They look like they're not totally done, and actually, if you grab one, they're not quite done. They finish up and firm up on the pan.
Yep.
That's how you get that soft, moist, chewy, oh so good, melt in your mouth kind of buttery cookie.
Yeah, if you leave them in till they look cooked in the oven, they're going to be overcooked when they come out.
Yeah, and if you've got a timer, folks, by all means, please use it. I always do.
I have one on my phone, so it works out well. Those sound really good.
Oh, they're amazing. I actually scooped it out of the company's coming cookie book. It was one of those cookbooks that got passed down 2 or 3 generations. I think it was my grandma's, then it was my mom's, now it's mine.
Yep.
And I'm not parting with it.
I wouldn't. It's just, I've got a couple of my grandmother's recipes that I just won't part with. There's a donut recipe, and the one for Mears meat pie. Not mincemeat, Mears meat. So Canadian meat pie. Oh, good stuff. Yes.
Tortilla.
Oh, it's like tortilla, but it doesn't have the pork in it.
Oh.
Yes, this is a hamburger pie, and you use slices of bread and stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
Oh.
It's really good. I make it normally for New Year's. That's our New Year's thing. So I've been making that one for years. But my grandmother was like me and didn't write anything down. So, it took me 3 years to get the recipe, and it's still not quite right. I know it's not quite right, but she could just whip it together like it was nothing. Yeah. So, but she never wrote anything down.
My grandmother never wrote anything down. She measured by the handful and, spoons out of the cupboard.
Yep, right out of the drawers, not a measuring spoon. Yeah, it's just, and I do the same thing. I catch myself doing the same thing. People will ask me, what'd you put in that? I don't know. At the time, I knew what I was putting in it. Don't ask me afterwards. I'm like, I don't know. I reach and grab and put it in. And how much did you use? Don't have a clue. My aunt would come over and my aunt would come over and she'd sit there with pen and paper. And she'd go, well, how much are you putting in on that? And I'm like, I don't know. I'd pull out measuring spoons and stuff, and I'd measure it the way I measure it in my hand. And I'd pour it into a spoon and go, oh, about a tablespoon. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. So she used to just write things down while she was there. So fennel. I love fennel. Fennel's one of my favorite. This tea is excellent for relieving gas. So there you go. You need the fennel.
Good to know.
And a compress made from the seeds will actually soothe eye strain and eye irritation. And for you garlic chicken lovers, because we did the garlic chicken there, rub a raw cut clove over a bee or a wasp sting to relieve the irritation. And when you feel a cold coming on, take a raw clove into your cheek and hold it there like somebody would use, like chewing tobacco. You can do it that way, or you can chop it up really fine and add a tablespoon of honey, raw honey, for coughs or congestion. So, see, you can have the chicken with the garlic and then have some more garlic afterwards.
Well, believe it or not, constipation.
Mm-hmm.
Make a paste out of about 7 or 8 cloves of roasted garlic, and chew that down. It'll work. Takes about 12 to 24 hours, and you'll be feeling right as a fiddle.
I remember that one.
Oh, I learned that from the old Italian chef I worked under.
Ah, there.
Cheese in everything.
Oh, yes.
Asiago. Romano.
Asiago's my favorite. That and Havarti dill. I love Havarti dill. Oh, one of my favorites.
Oh, yes.
I'm a cheese person. I love cheese.
Oh, a good fresh ricotta.
Actual, not the store-bought stuff. Real stuff.
That and mascarpone.
Oh, yes.
I have a couple of recipes I pull out at Christmas that mascarpone cheese.
I got a recipe that I got to share with you. It's cannoli pie.
Oh, you rock!
Mm-hmm.
Cannolis are my absolute favorite.
Well, this is a pie, though. You make it as a pie. And it is
even better.
So good. Yes, I'll have to send you that recipe. Gin. You can actually take a shot or two of gin to relieve cramps. And you can chill it and use it as a compress for sprains. But don't do it when you're pregnant. All kinds of interesting little things.
When people ask what's for dinner, I look at them and go, food.
Yeah, well, that's what Roger does. What's for dinner? I don't know. Whatever I throw together when I get in there. What are you making? I don't know. Most of the time it's, I don't know. I'm just putting some stuff in a pot, and when I'm done, I'm done. And he'll just look at me and go, yeah, I'm not worried about it. You do this all the time, so it'll taste good. Whatever it is, it'll taste good. So, and we had a lot of fun. We'll have to do this again, because I'm sure you have more recipes, and I have a ton more herbs that I can go over for different things, too. So, yeah, we could...
We'll have to collaborate, because I have a recipe for a kitchen witch's bottle.
Ooh.
And it's made with herbs and stuff for protection. This is not the edible stuff. I just brought some of my edible recipes.
Ooh. We'll have to do...
use any kind of magic into anything you create in the kitchen. Doesn't matter what it is.
Wow. I'm thinking the next show we may have to do a magical show.
I can do that.
All right. Well, we are almost close to the end, but I hope you guys listening had a good time tonight and enjoyed this. And if you guys want the recipes, you can hit up Lady Spice. And I'll hit her up too and see if I can get them posted on the Essential Witch page. That way you guys can get the recipes. Also, you could listen to the show afterwards when I put it up on YouTube and write it down that way too. So, but as for me and Lady Spice, we are out of here like cheap toupees in the wind. But thank you so much for coming and listening and hanging out with us. And say goodnight, Lady Spice.
Good night, folks. Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Blast.
have you again anytime, hon. Anytime. Take care, everybody. Good night.